Hi everyone, I'm Letian from SPM paper. In this video, I will explain 2020 Kelantan Addmath paper 2 question 4. So first, for A, they ask us to sketch a graph y equal to 1 minus modulo 2 cos 2x. So this 2 vertical line is actually modulo. You will change the negative thing into positive. So to sketch a very complicated graph, right, we can start with something simple like cos x. So the cos x graph is simply look like this. And then note that the maximum point is 1 and the minimum point is -1. After that, we can add a 2 in front of the cos x because ultimately we want to get 2 cos 2x, right? So we first add the 2 in front of cos x and notice that the graph shape is still the same. However, the maximum point have become 2 and the minimum point has become -2. This because that there's a 2 in front of cos x. That's why the maximum point and minimum point become 2 and -2. And then next, we change the 2 cos x become 2 cos 2x by adding a 2 over here. So from the graph, we see that the pattern have repeated 2 times. This is the cos graph the first time, and then is the cos graph the second time. So we can say that the 2 here makes the cos graph pattern repeat 2 times between 0 and 2 pi. Okay, now we move on to the next graph in which we add a modulo for 2 cos 2x. So when we add a modulo for 2 cos 2x, right, the negative will become positive. So note that this part of the graph is negative and this part is positive. So the negative part, this one and this one, have to be reflected about the x-axis. This one move up and this one move up. So you see this thing and this thing. This when the negative part move up to become positive. After that, we can look at this thing. Negative is added in front of the modulo 2 cos 2x, which means that initially here is all positive, right? So we want to make it all negative. So basically, all of this shape is reflected about x-axis. So you see that the graph become like this. All of them is now negative. Okay, so lastly, we want the graph to be in the form of 1 minus modulo cos 1 minus modulo 2 cos 2x. So basically, a 1 is added in front of negative modulo 2 cos 2x. So the graph, we see that the graph sort of shifted upward by 1 unit. So the previous graph is at y equal to 0, right? So we shift upwards, the graph become y equal to 1. This is y equal to 1. So the whole graph has shifted up by 1 unit. So this is the final graph for this y equal to 1 minus modulo 2 cos 2x. Okay, next we can move on to part B. So in part B, provided this equation for x between 0 and 2 pi, and the question asks us to find number of solutions. So when we see this equation, the first thing we want to do is we want to make it into the format similar to this thing on one side. So what do I mean by that? It means we want this equation to appear on one side. Okay, so we can rearrange this. 2 minus modulo 2 cos 2x equal x over 2 pi. And then notice this is 1 and this is 2. So we need to minus 1 on the both sides. Become 2 minus modulo 2 cos 2x minus 1 equal to x over 2 pi minus 1. After minus 1 on both sides, we get 1 minus modulo 2 cos 2x equal to x over 2 pi minus 1. Okay, so you notice this thing is same as the equation here. This one is y equal to y minus y equal to 1 minus modulo 2 cos 2x. This one becomes y equal to x over 2 pi minus 1. For this y equal to 1 minus modulo 2 cos 2x, we already have the graph over here. But for this equation, we still haven't plotted the graph yet. So we have to plot this equation. So to plot this graph, we want to find some of its points at different locations. So the first one we choose when x equal to 0, y is equal to 0, 2 pi minus 1, y is equal to negative 1. So x is 0, y is negative 1. So when x is equal to pi, so why we choose x equal to pi? Because it's a midpoint of the graph. When x is equal to pi, y is equal to pi over 2 pi minus 1, y is equal to negative 0.5. So the point is pi negative 0.5. And the third, x equal to 2 pi, y equal to 2 pi minus 1 is equal to 0. So the third point is 2 pi 0. So let us plot the point on the graph. First point is 0, negative 1. Second point is pi negative 0.5. This point pi negative 0.5. And the third point is 2 pi 0. So we can draw a line to draw all these 3 points. Okay, so we got our equation y equal to x over 2 pi minus 1. Okay, so they want us to find the number of solution. Number of solution basically is the intersection point between this equation and this equation, the intersection point between the two. So we can count the number of intersection points. This 1 intersection point, 2 intersection point, 3 intersection point, 4 intersection point, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so we have 8 intersection points between these two. So the answer is there's 8 solutions. Because there's 8 intersection points between y equal 1 minus modulo 2 cos 2x and y equal to x over 2 pi minus 1.